Okay, so thank you to everybody for attending this webinar that I have put together, and I'm hoping that you will enjoy it. I've spent quite a bit of time putting it all together and finished it about 45 minutes ago. So it is as fresh as can be. Just a few housekeeping bits and pieces. You can ask questions on the right hand side in the chat group, and if I see those, I will try to answer them. We will have some time for questions at the end. The way in which I'm going to structure this is that for about 40 minutes, I will deliver the value within the webinar itself. We'll then have a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, for some questions and answers. And then we will go into an offer. And if you don't want to stick around for the offer, you don't have to. But if you do, then that will be about 5 minutes at the end, maybe 5-10 minutes, that kind of thing. So just to recap, 40 minutes delving into email, what's working right now, how to make more money from email, how it works within businesses typically, and then questions and answers. And once we've done questions and answers, into an offer for those of you that want to stick around. And I will let you know when I'm about to do the offer so that you can duck out if you want to. Okay, so without any more time with this, I'll just minimize myself a little bit. There we go. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through some very basic slides. I think I've put probably 2 or 3 slides together about email movers, and then I've put slides together that are about the actual content of the webinar. There's probably, I think, maybe 15 slides in total. So about email movers, we've been established now since 2003. That's quite a long time, isn't it? It's over 21 years. So we've been doing this a long time. We're all based in the UK. There's about 15 of us. Revenues, I think, are around 1.5 million a year, and it is email marketing is very much in our blood. It's what we do, and we've done it for a long time for a lot of people. We tend to focus specifically on B2B, but as an agency, we can also help companies with B2C. It doesn't really matter. So it's B2B or B2C. For example, for over 10 years, we delivered the newsletters for Virgin Media, Virgin Mobile, all of the different brands within Virgin, and many other clients, both large and small. I think that over the years, we've probably worked with about 5,000 different companies. We also have helped companies out that are in a real mess. They've got legal things to send out, and they need to have it go out in 24 hours. And we're good at reacting to stuff like that. And we are full service, so we're a full service done for you email marketing agency, which means that we can do the design, the delivery, the data, everything. You don't need to worry about it once you're working with us. It's a bit like outsourcing your PPC, outsourcing your SEO. You can outsource your email marketing in that same style. A little bit about me. So I've obviously founder and one of the co-founders at Email Movers, and a director here. So I've actually been doing this for longer than 21 years, because I was doing it for a couple of years before, set up on my own. And now, as I said, there's about 15 of us, and I help companies with their own email marketing as a coach, as well as a service where we do it for companies that don't want to or have the resources to do it in-house. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, terrible. I've seen it all. And I've made many mistakes myself. But I am very passionate about results-driven campaigns, data-driven campaigns. I really do like very much because they tend to work. And I'm therefore here to share that these strategies that have been working for us. And there's a lot going on with AI and everything else. It's an exciting time to be sat on top of an email list, no matter how big or small. So what to expect today from this webinar? I'm going to walk you through the framework that we've put together, which we use repeatedly within this business. If you think about our revenues at 1.5 million, then you could almost break that down into revenue from companies that find us online and Google and PPC and all that kind of stuff, SEO, etc. And then you've got revenue that comes in because we're retargeting those people by email once they are into us. And we put them into different buckets and what have you. So I'll make that split a little bit clearer in a moment. If you're not doing email marketing, then that's why you should do it. And if you are doing it, that's really what you should be thinking of in terms of your split on revenue from it. I'm going to go through some real examples, best practices in action. I'm going to give a few tips to try and maximize the return on investment that you might be looking for from running email campaigns. Then we'll do the question and answer session. And once we've done that, I'm going to run an offer. But don't worry, I'll give you plenty of warning before I do the offer so that if you don't want to stick around, you can leave. So it is 5 minutes past 1 and we'll get started. So I would say that there's probably 35 minutes left then. So if you think about where email marketing sits within your approach or your marketing activity, what you'll normally find within businesses is that there are some acquisition channels. And these channels are where you might promote your brand using Google Ads or some SEO that you do on the website, and that generates organic traffic. You might be using Facebook, or you might be using cold email outreach to try and drive traffic to your website. And if you're a seasoned veteran at that, then you'll be likely driving it to dedicated landing pages. And if you are using technology to help you do that, you might even be using personalized landing pages. And the aim is that those landing pages are all designed to bring people to a point where they can leave their information with you through a web form or a live chat, or they might phone you. There's loads of different things. We're actually testing a WhatsApp link on our site at the moment where people can message us on WhatsApp, which is quite interesting. But traditionally, you'll have a web form. You'll have some kind of live chat maybe, and then you'll also have a telephone number. What you're really doing there is you're capturing data. You're capturing the email address, first name, if you can get it, last name, company name, etc. of those people that are interested and they want a bit more information. If you're running an e-commerce site, then it might be customers that are coming straight through into your site and then going through a checkout process. If it is B2B, then it might be e-commerce, but it's more than likely going to be data capture. So you're optimizing those landing pages, you're doing lots of split testing, you might be using a number of different tools to help you understand how your page should be in order to get the highest conversion rate, that kind of stuff. But you're doing a lot of work to bring traffic to your site and then convert that traffic so that you can capture the contact details of those people that are landing. Now then, what you then might have is a CRM where that data goes into directly, and your form, the form on your website might even be a CRM form. So if it's HubSpot, that actual form is owned by HubSpot. It goes straight into HubSpot. If it's Salesforce, they call it a web to lead form. What that means is that as soon as that data is captured, it goes into your CRM, and then you might have a salesperson that picks the phone up and talks to those people, and you might have a little competition within the business that, you know, it's about getting that call as quickly as you can because that person's just left their details and it's great to get a call straight away. You might have worked on all of that kind of stuff so far. And what you would be wanting to do if you're using email effectively is to then have your Salesforce or your CRM connected to your email marketing platform. That might be MailChimp, or it could be Klaviyo or Brevo, any of the different platforms out there. We've even got our own platform. And what you're really wanting to do is get those people into there, because in there you might have a sequence of messages. So we would refer to that as a welcome sequence. And it might be 2 or 3 messages or more over a period of time. So you've then got a list that is building inside MailChimp. Let's say that it's MailChimp constantly. And that means that even if you start building your business today and you've got no customers, this time next week, you're going to have some people in your CRM, but you're also going to have some people in your email marketing platform, and they will be receiving a sequence of messages. That's kind of what you should be doing. And then once a month or once a week, if you can do it, you want to send them campaigns. And the idea is to loop them back through to your website to engage in maybe some more content that you've provided. It could be a blog post, or it might be a direct response campaign. You might be trying to, generate some leads from the people that came to you that you spoke to on the phone, but you didn't convert immediately. So why is email so important? Well, if you have a business where you're generating traffic to a landing page, that landing page is generating or has got a form on it where you're capturing details, and those are going into your CRM, and then you're picking the phone up to them and trying to close them, then that's half the journey, really. That for a lot of businesses that I work with, and including my own business, that's kind of only maybe 40 to 60% of your revenue. The other 40% of your revenue should really come from the email marketing that you then do to those people that you didn't close on the phone, or within the first few days of coming into the business. And that, if you've got a conversion rate of 10% on your within your business, or even 15%, 20%, that still leaves the majority of people that came to you not buying anything. And those are the people that you are looking to try to turn into revenue. And you do it with email. You can try to do other things. You can try to do retargeting with Facebook and retargeting with Google Display Network, stuff like that, to try and continue. But you'd have to pay Google and Facebook for that. Well, why would you want to do that when you've already paid them to send you the customer? You've got their email address. And in theory, the cost of emailing them is far less than if you wanted to try to retarget them. I'm not saying that you shouldn't retarget them. It's great, but you've got the email, so you should be sending sequences, should be sending brand awareness campaigns, you should be sending direct response campaigns. But this is why email is just so important. That first moment that they've registered with you, you've gone into your CRM, you need to get them a welcome message, and you need to get that really quickly. Don't sell in the welcome message. You don't need to do that. Your salesperson is doing that. What you're wanting to do in the welcome message is tell them a little bit about yourselves. Welcome them into your business. It's a bit like welcoming somebody into your home. You show them around a little bit. You want to really just show them a little bit about yourself. You can tell them about products and services, yeah, no problem. But you also might want to tell them about the team that you've got. You might want to tell them how to get into contact with you. It's a welcome message at the end of the day. And what you want to then have are sequences within that. So maybe 2 or 3 days, send them another email, maybe put some testimonials in it. On the third email, maybe put case studies in it. On the fourth email, do something slightly different. You could even make your case studies and your testimonials specific to people in specific industries if you have got rich data on them. Then, of course, you've got brand awareness campaigns. That could be newsletters. It could be PR pieces that you've done. Let's say that you've put an article onto your website that delivers huge value. It's a post that you've created, a blog post that you've created. Your email goes out and it's pointing people at the learnings that you've discovered inside that blog post. Brand awareness, I know that it doesn't generate instant revenue into businesses, but it is really good for thought leadership. If you've got a podcast or something like that, then you can promote that podcast to everybody that's on your list. They can then go to YouTube to see it, or they can go to their podcast app and they can watch it. And once they've done that, they're starting to see that you guys are a thought leader in the area that you are. Then, of course, with the welcome sequence that you've got going out, with the brand awareness messages that you've got going out that are positioning you as a thought leader in the space, you've then got your you've got your direct response campaigns. These are where you're trying to generate leads. So you might bucket your data. One of the things that is very powerful is bucketing your data. So you can have people in Salesforce that are active. You can have people that are lapsed. You can have people that are closed lost. You can create different buckets. And one of the good things about MailChimp and these other platforms is that when a person changes a stage in your CRM, like Salesforce or HubSpot, you can automatically move them into a different bucket on MailChimp, because MailChimp uses tags, or you can actually just move them in terms of the list, which means that you can then make your messaging to those people more specific. Your closed losts, you can send them one type of direct response message. Your lapsed, you can send them a slightly different one. And it's in that detail that you'll find the revenue. When you go very broad out to your entire audience once every 3 months because you're busy, you might say email doesn't really work for us because you're not really putting the effort into it, or you've not got the resources to put the effort into it. If you keep that messaging going, and you've got good sequences going to people, and you've got good brand awareness campaigns going out, and you've got nicely enhanced data, then your direct revenue generation campaigns should work a treat. And then, of course, if you have got detailed information on companies such as, or contacts such as job title, industry, company size, you can make your campaigns very, very specific. And when you make that campaign specific, it becomes more relevant to the person that you are talking to. And when the message becomes more relevant, you drive more engagement. People are more interested because the message is more relevant to them. And that engagement, you can then turn into a call to action. So that is an important area. A lot of companies, when they collect data, they create this what's known as shallow data phenomena, which is they're so desperate to get the email address in the first place, they daren't put a very big, long form in front of the person. And they certainly won't use mandatory fields. So they just get these email addresses, and these email addresses pile up within their business, and they start to suffer from shallow data. They can't do anything with this data apart from send one great big campaign out to it all. But now you can enrich that data with tools. We've got Contact Enhance, and there's loads of solutions out there when that email address lands in Salesforce, it's automatically enriched with industry, jobs, the size of the company, the job title, etc. On about 70% of it, we normally see that about 70% of it can be enriched automatically, which means that you can then create groups, you can create niches, which will help you when you do your email marketing to make your messages more relevant. You should be looking at a 3x increase in engagement with an audience that you are creating a tailored email to over a broad audience. So if you're sending generic emails out and you're struggling with the results of those, try to create niches in the database and make your message specific to that niche and then send it. You'll send fewer emails, but you'll get 3 times the response from it. So everything that we do is all about results. The results really are when a person gets an email, they open it, they click through, they come back to the website, they pick the phone up, they talk to a member of our team, they might place an order to help, for us to help them with their email marketing or whatever it might be, data enrichment or email delivery, etc. So it's the results that for us, that's what matters in terms of results. And so therefore, whenever we're doing campaigns, that's what we've got in mind. If we look at how do we achieve those results, well, we achieve it by sending emails. We deliver emails. We have a strategy for ourselves, and that strategy might include some brand awareness. It might include webinars. It might include us circulating blog posts that we've done. That loop where we're trying to get people to come back to our website once they've registered their details, which means that we have to have good content. We've got to have good messaging. In what we do, we've got to be able to give people value. And we need to be able to design emails that do actually cut through the clutter. They create impact inside the inbox. They do land on the in the inbox instead of in the spam folder. And spam is such a difficult thing right now because one person in an office, you can have 2 people get the same invoice, and the person on your right, it will go into their spam, and the person on the left, it will go into their inbox because of their own individual preferences when they're opening and closing emails. I mean, I've used Apple for years, my Apple phone and stuff like that. And I've got the kids, they'll go and buy something on the marketplace or what have you. And the invoice for that goes into my spam because I never read it. And it comes from apple.com. So if they've got problems delivering emails to my inbox, it doesn't surprise me that other companies have. It's all about engagement. You have to make sure that people are opening and reading your emails in order to get into the inbox, no matter what your settings are. And that means that you really need to have a good set of data. You can't get your email marketing working unless your data is working. So what I mean by that is that if you only have a list of email addresses and 20 to 30% of them are out of date and you send to them every now and again, you're not likely to get the best result. If, however, you've enriched that data, you've got lots of information about those people, those companies, you've created niches, you've validated it, and you send out that data frequently, you're going to see a better result. Some people might say, "Oh, I don't want to send too frequently. Once a week is too much for me. I'm too busy." Well, that's okay, but you should be thinking about outsourcing then, because if you are the bottleneck of the revenue in your business because you are too busy to do those campaigns, you're going to stop the business from growing past your own time availability. It's not a great idea. What you might also say to yourself is, I don't want to upset people by sending to them too often. You won't do that. People have come to you for something. They've bothered to give you their details. If they don't like you anymore, if they don't want the information, they can just unsubscribe. So leave them with that option. Don't be worried about not sending to the database, or don't be worried about sending to it too often. I've seen companies do daily emails. Okay, daily emails. We do weekly, but well, we try to do weekly. I've seen companies doing daily emails. Sometimes I've seen companies doing more than one or two, and they're just constantly in my inbox. And it's kind of tips, tricks. It might be stock updates. It might be, I don't know if you know about TLDR. I get that one. I think that they land in my inbox like twice a day, and I read quite a few of those emails. And because of that, they are always in my inbox. If I stopped reading them, Gmail would put them into my spam. And eventually TLDR would probably remove me from their list as inactive. So if we think about the data as being a really important part of this, then it's important that you're validating your emails. Now, one thing that you might say to yourself is, I validate my emails all the time. When I send an email campaign out, I validate my emails. Yes, you probably do, because you are able to remove hard bounces when you do send a campaign out. But you are leaving zombies on your database. And zombies are people who were in role when they registered with you, but they've now left that company. And you've still got them on your database, and their email address is still working for continuity purposes, but they've gone. They will never open an email. They will never click through. And Gmail and Outlook, the two most important email service providers out there, will see these zombies on your database growing more and more until eventually they start to hurt your engagement. They start to hurt your open rates, your click-through rates, because you've got so many of them. And that can land your email into spam. So if your sales team are talking to people and they find out somebody's gone, make sure that that person is, their record on Salesforce or HubSpot is updated. Make sure that then MailChimp is updated to remove them. Don't continue sending to them. You can send maybe every now and again to see if somebody else is opening their email, but try to remove them because they'll hurt your database. And of course, try to enrich them. If your salesperson is talking to somebody and there's a job title missing, ask them, what is your job title? Because then they could go into a different pot on MailChimp for people who are operations managers or facilities managers, company owners. Then you can do a campaign specifically to facilities managers, and you can address the pain points that a facility manager might have. That will drive engagement in your campaigns, and that engagement will turn into revenue ultimately. So you've got industry, you've got company size, you've got location, you've got all sorts of different fields that that you can use to sort your data, segment it, group it. But something that's really interesting right now is purchase history. So if a person has bought from you, put them into a separate pot, because those people there are of a different breed. If you have got a lifetime value, so if you've got a recurring monthly revenue from certain products within your business, get your lifetime value and put that into your data, and until eventually you've got lists within your system of people that have spent a lot of money with you. You've got lists of people who bought from you once. You've got lists of people that have never bought from you. Then you can put those people into different pots. So companies in manufacturing that have spent a lot of money with you over the years. Now, the reason you want to do that, if you only have one or two, it obviously doesn't make sense. But as your business grows and as you get more people in, if you've automated this, it becomes very clear why. And it's all about the results. It's so easy to give your revenues a boost when you need to by doing offers to these very special pots. Which then brings us on to step 2 in the framework, which is around design. So we've covered off the data and we've got about 15 minutes left. So we've covered off the data. Now we're looking at the design. It's so important to understand your customers' pain points. There is features and there are benefits. And if you talk about the features of your solution to companies constantly in your emails, which most do, you're going to leave a segment of your audience in the dry. You need to be talking about the benefits to your customers, of your products and services. And it's really important that you make it really clear. In fact, it probably shouldn't be you that writes them, because you're so deep into the woods on your own product that it becomes a challenge to step back and see the benefits of your product to a customer that you don't always necessarily communicate with. Put offers into your emails. The number of emails that I get that do not have any offers, sometimes they don't even have call to actions in them. Put offers into your emails. I read a really good book called $100 Million Deals by Alex Hormozi. And basically he explained in that book the power of offers. And that's, it's led a lot of my thinking. We do a lot of offers. So we have our rates, we have customers that come to us. When those customers come to us, we provide them with, standard rates for doing what it is that they want us to do, managing their emails for the next year or whatever it is. And then if we don't close them, then we will introduce them back to ourselves using offers. This is what you were offered, this is what you're now offered. And it doesn't have to be always price that we're bringing down. You could just add additional value into the offer, and that is an offer. It's really important to put them in there and make them scarce. This offer is finished today. You've got 3 hours. Email is one of the only channels you could do that with. You can't do it with PPC very effectively. You can't do it with SEO. Email, you can send an email at 10 o'clock in the morning and say, this offer ends at lunchtime. People are going to get that. They're going to click through, they're going to see it, and they're either going to purchase the service from you or they're not. So I like to keep it scannable. So I like to be able to use bullet points in emails because that's how I personally like to read emails. But I have seen recently, just a couple of weeks ago, some people testing really long format emails. They're like really, really long, maybe 3 or 4 pages long. A bit like the old landing pages, maybe 10, 15 years ago, long form landing pages. Do you remember, well, you might not remember, but in the old days, Reader's Digest and things like that, they would send out these direct sales letters and they would be really, really long. And down at the bottom in red writing was the offer. And you read, basically you were being sold to all the way down. And so it could be worth testing. If you've done short form scannable and it's not working very well, then you could go to long form and just see what happens. Put everything you know about your product into there. Go to ChatGPT and say, look at my website and create me a 3,000 word email. It might work. Put clear call to actions in. Put more than one call to action in. It doesn't matter. Put it at the top and put it at the bottom. Don't just put it at the bottom. A lot of people do that. They do it by accident. They think that that's where it should live. Put your call to actions right up at the top of the email as well, because sometimes people open email, just click straight through on the link and go through to your website. I also do like to put a lot of call to actions in my email signature, which means that I don't have to sell as much in my email copy. So my email copy can deliver value. I've just written a blog post on how AI can help create intro lines that will boost your open rates by X, whatever. If you'd like to have a read, click here, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to get your feedback, blah, blah, blah. But then in the signature, you've got book a meeting, you've got my telephone number, you've got my LinkedIn, you've got my website. That's where all my call to actions are. And people's minds change when they start to look at your signature. You can sell in your signature. And people, for some reason, don't see it as selling. They just see it as information. So if you're going to an exhibition or something like that, put the stand number, a link to register, all that kind of stuff into your email signature. If you're doing a webinar like this, like we did, put it all into your email signature of your whole team. Of course, yes, personalize your email, try to get the first name, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, people know that it's automated, but you know what, it's fine. People prefer it to Dear Sir. And there are tools out there now that you can use to create intro lines. We've got Boost, which is an intro line generator, which is AI powered. They do work. I am sure that they work. I've tested them against each other. And in the tests that I've done, I've seen more people convert. So I might get the same number of replies. So if I use an A/B split test, one email has got an AI powered intro line, one email has just got a standard intro line, then I will get the same number of leads into my business, but the ones that had the AI-powered intro line are more likely to convert. And that's because that intro line was more specific to their business or to their problem. They knew what they were buying from me when they came to me or when they came into my shop, rather than just browsing. So that can help quite significantly there. And of course, it does help to make the content more relevant. So if you are going to leave this webinar and go off and immediately create a sequence of messages to welcome people that might come to your website, leave their data in a form and then land in HubSpot or Salesforce and then eventually in MailChimp, then you're going to see an improvement in your communications with your customers without a shadow of a doubt. That first message that you send, though, you've got to give them value in that message. That welcome message, you've got to try and deliver value. Don't sell in that message. It's a mistake to try and do that. What you want to do is just create value. So you've got case studies, you've got blog posts. You might even offer them the opportunity to respond to you and ask you a question about something. You might put them through to a podcast that you've done. Follow up and try to provide additional benefit. One thing that you could also do is, if you now know who the account manager is, you could give the account manager's details. So if the person has come in, gone into Salesforce, got their welcome message, then 2-3 days later, you could send them another message just to remind them who their account manager is, what their telephone number is, etc. And then a third message. Normally, you'll have sequences of 2 or 3 messages. Again, you could put all sorts of value in there, but then in that message, you could do some kind of a sales message or some kind of an offer or something like that. But be careful not to step on the toes of your team, who might actually be still be negotiating with a contact. How do we actually measure the results, or how do we actually measure the ROI? So I don't use open rates as much as I used to because I don't trust them anymore. There's a lot of bots out there that will open emails, they'll click on them, they'll visit the page to make sure it's not a phishing website. And these applications are very, very common now. And so it makes it very hard to understand if your open rate is real. I've seen campaigns going out with open rates of like 80% or something, and it's just not true. Even the click-through rates aren't real. If, however, you do have a solution that can remove those, then on a list of people that have come through to your business, left their details, you should be looking at somewhere between 25 and 30% open rate and maybe 3 to 5% click-through rate of the list size, not of the people that opened it. But what you really want to do, what you really want to try and understand in your business is your revenue per email. Break it down to how much money you make when you send a campaign out. If you send a campaign out to 1,000 people and you get one person reply and place an order for £1,000, then you've got a revenue per email of £1. If you've got more expensive product or a lifetime value behind a product, then it could increase. But that figure, you really do need to try and understand that figure, because that figure you can work on. Let's try and increase our revenue per email. What's the strategy for doing it? If you try to increase your open rates or find a strategy to increase click-through rates, you could be lost because of the bots. You could think that you're doing great, but you're not doing great. So try to work out that revenue per email. So just to recap there, we've got the data, we've got the design, and we've got the delivery as that 3D formula. So just in the last few minutes, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we do before we go to questions and answers. So Email Movers is a full service email marketing agency. You might outsource your SEO, you might outsource your PPC, you might outsource your web design. Well, you need to think about email on the same lines. You should be outsourcing that to companies like Email Movers that are experts in this area. It's a complex area. And one of the things that is interesting about it is how many people don't do it because they're busy. And yet it's one of the things that can really generate money. So for whatever you do, don't stop doing it because you're too busy. So our standard pricing options, and this is not the offer, the standard pricing, typically we charge $4.99 a month to look after a company, to look after their email marketing. So we'll do a campaign a month, we'll do a HTML email design for them, which is typically about £250 to do a bespoke design for them. And we will do contact enrichment if they've never done that before. And that's normally around 25p per contact. So you're looking at about £2,500. But if a company doesn't need that, we are $4.99 a month. And we would do one campaign for that, and we would normally have a 12-month contract with a company. So they're outsourcing maybe a newsletter or a direct response mailer to their database once a month, and we would handle all of that for them. And if they wanted 2 or 3 different templates over the year, then they would ask us to build those for them. And as a result of that, there'd be a bit extra there. And of course, we do custom packages as well. You know, some of our clients want a lot more than that. Some of them only want ad hoc campaigns throughout the year. So I've taken you through the actual webinar content there. We've got a little bit of time for some questions. So if anybody's got any questions, there is a chat on the right-hand side. You should be able to see that there. You can also email me, Duncan, at emailmovers.com if you've got questions. I'm also on LinkedIn as the email guy, so you can ask me questions there afterwards if you don't want to put your hand up right now. So that brings us to the end of the actual webinar content, and it will take us into the offer. So if you don't want to stick around for the offer, the webinar and the value and all of that kind of stuff that I've provided, I've done with that now, and you can go. If you want to stick around for the offer, then please do so. And that will probably be 4 or 5 minutes. So there we go. I'll just let a couple of people go there. Has everybody gone? Okay, so quite a few of you left in the room. That's nice to see. Okay, so in terms of the offer,